Hi everyone, I'm redoing my discussion board. Apparently the sound wasn't working. Thank you for those of you that told me, but this is my discussion board for California water needed. So obviously in the beginning, in the northern region of California, they had enough rainfall to be able to sustain the crops that they had, the people that they had there, and carry on about life. However, once you started reaching the Central Valley and Southern California, it was apparent that in order to sustain the amount of people that they wanted to bring in and really grow cities and communities, specifically in LA, there was obviously going to be a larger need for water. So that obviously led to the decision, as we saw in the videos, of moving water from the Owens Valley to LA and taking their water. And I think one of the main things that really stuck with me throughout this, and something that I think about, is that, you know, we always hear the phrase big bank takes little bank. And I think that this was the perfect example of that, by the government and, you know, people from LA secretly buying these plots of lands, not outright telling people what they were doing. It was just a really all around shady move, and being able to take someone's water away from them and ultimately their livelihood, their homes, their storefronts, things that were in people's families for generation, with no regard to them and no point of stopping, is just something that's really disappointing, and something that, you know, shouldn't be allowed. It shouldn't be, you know, oh, I'm trying to make LA a bigger city, so therefore who cares about what anybody else needs or the water resources that somebody else needs? I'm just going to take it for me. So I think that that was one of the big things that stuck out to me, and something that's really disappointing, and even now is something that we need to think about, because there's a lot of resentment and a lot of people who lost everything by LA making this power move and by buying the water and taking it. However, so these are kind of the effects of that, and just seeing, you know, how much power one can have when they hold such a valuable resource like water. By them manipulating that water, they were able to buy people out of, you know, things that were in their family for generations, just to be able to source LA with water. However, there's no way LA, San Diego, and everything in between could ever be as big as it is now, and have enough people and be able to support it without this power move that happened. So although, you know, it's disappointing that they would be able to do something like that and really manipulate a lot of people by doing this, they were still able to create super big cities and bring in a lot more work, a lot more people, different cultures, different backgrounds into California with this move. For me, I feel like the biggest thing that I'm thinking of is conservation and preservation. We saw the LA River ran dry, so then they tapped into the Owens Valley, and then they wanted to build the reservoir that burst in Baldwin Hills and killed all those people, and then dipping into Arizona to try to take from the Colorado. I think it just goes to show the mind frame of the American people, and that, again, American dream and just vision for America and for LA, and just a me kind of thing, taking and not even realizing the effects. So I think conservation and preservation is super huge, especially when looking at Mono Lake and realizing that that was one of the only stops for the seabird migration. What would that have done to all of those birds and a huge part of our ecosystem if they did not stop the water being taken from there and eventually having it returned to them? I think that we need to do a better job. We're very wasteful with our water. I myself know I have some bad habits in regards to leaving the water running and forgetting about it, or, you know, your shower's not warm enough for you, so you just let the water run and don't get in yet. Different things like that. We take water for granted just because it's there, and we need to do a better job of preserving it. And this is just something that stuck in my mind, and something that I kept going back and forth about with this whole topic on water. And I just think about the inalienable rights that we created for the new America and for Americans. And that's the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. So the way that I was looking at this was that life, the basic needs that we as humans need, water, air, land, food, somewhere to have a home, somewhere to be able to access water. In order to grow food and have food, we need water. And liberty, free from being oppressed, being able to, make something of yourself and do what it is that you want. People had their whole livelihood taken away from them when the LA water crisis happened, and essentially the Southern California water crisis happened. And then the pursuit of happiness, wherever, however one sees fit. And just seeing that major corporations and people with a lot of money can just snatch someone's livelihood away, and something that they did every day and that made them happy is just something that's pretty disappointing too. So I kept kind of circling back to the inalienable rights when I was reading this information and watching the video, and this is just kind of something that stuck with me.